2020 Democratic candidates are pushing hard to impeach the president, and candidate Tom Steyer thinks it's about time. He's already spent millions trying to get impeachment proceedings off the ground. We caught up with him in New York today.
The impeachment inquiry. What is your reaction to the White House's notes on the call?
I've been saying for 2 years this is the most corrupt president in American history. To see in a transcript him ask a foreign country to come to involve themselves in American politics on his behalf at the same time that he's withholding hundreds of millions of dollars of aid to them. Look, I saw absolute wrongdoing, shameless wrongdoing in those transcripts, but it's not news. 2 years ago, I started Need to Impeach because it was clear this is not a close call. He's a criminal. It's not a close call that he's met the criteria to be impeached.
When you look at polls, and even the most recent poll after the Ukraine story, voters on the majority of voters actually don't necessarily support impeachment. So when you look at your own campaign that has so rigorously talked about impeachment, do you think that that could potentially hurt your chances with moderate and undecided voters?
My point on impeachment has always been that who I'm counting on, the hero of this story is the American people. I want to have televised hearings so the American people can see for themselves what's been going on.
Do the American people want, do the American people want the televised hearings, do you think?
Well, let me put it to you this way. This will be the greatest TV show ever. It's incredibly exciting. It's reality TV in front of your eyes. We're talking about the most powerful man in the world being a criminal and misusing his office for his own purposes.
But there are people who don't believe that. And so what does it take?
That's why we have the hearings.
But there are people who have seen the evidence, and who still don't believe that. So
actually, it isn't. What we see is that people haven't seen the evidence. That when we show them the evidence, they always say, I didn't know that. No one read the Mueller report. If you listen to Mr. Mueller speak, you had to be translating from the ancient Greek, as far as I'm concerned, to understand what he was saying. We've had, really, there's been no opportunity in a broad way for Americans to see this in a way that's digestible.
If President Trump were sitting right in front of you, so I'm not here, but President Trump is sitting right in front of you, what would you say to him?
Shame on you. You should not be doing this. You, sir, have made a terrible, terrible mistake. And it's time for you to repent and be a better person. I think you can start by stepping down.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.